Evoland by Shiro Games is a fantasy action-adventure game that's heavily and shamelessly influenced by games that solidified the genre, such as Final Fantasy, Zelda, and Dragon Quest. So, is Evoland a throwback to the classic formula, or is it just another copycat? In Evoland, you play as the adventurer Clink, who is tasked with the saving of the land, with the help of his gained ally, the spellcaster Karis. Throughout your quest, you'll find many chests. Opening each chest will change something within the game world, usually upgrading it. These upgrades can change controls, graphics, gameplay, and some of them are just downright silly. Each upgrade is accompanied with a humorous, although sometimes cringeworthy description. The main draw of the game is that it's a self-proclaimed journey through the history of action-adventure games. Clink starts off as a simple sprite, but as you progress opening chests, the characters as well as the world around you start to change. Evoland is such an obvious labor of love from the creators. The tongue-in-cheek critique of action-adventure games never goes too far and does a good job of always being an homage and never a direct parody. Many staples of action-adventure games are explored by Evoland, such as turn-based combat and top-down hack-and-slash combat in the style of both Zelda and even Diablo. Later on in the game, there's even a way to go between 2D and 3D worlds. In each world, you can bypass obstacles that are impossible to pass in the other. Once this mechanic gets added, some pretty welcome and interesting puzzles are added to the mix, and I really wish I could have seen more of this throughout. Each chest in Evoland is a reward of its own. I always found myself excited to see what was within each one, and sometimes I was completely stunned by the absolute beauty revealed with each unlock. At some later points in the game, just when I thought there was nothing left for this game to explore, it pulled out another awesome change in the form of new graphics or gameplay styles. The graphics and music of Evoland are great. The bitmap sprites are quite detailed, and the 3D models and textures, while nothing stunning, are quite nice and really add to the game. The music of Evoland does a great job of putting you in the time period, with each piece matching the musical style and system limitations of the time period being portrayed. If you're a fan of collectibles, Evoland has quite a few. There are 50 stars to find, which are contained in chests, and are just your run-of-the-mill collectible with no real impact on the game. There are also cards, which are usable in the minigame Double Twin, which plays a lot like Triple Triad from Final Fantasy IX. While the game is a little bit of fun, there's only one person you can play it with, and not that much reward other than the satisfaction of winning. Just as any other game, Evoland has a few flaws. The character's walk speed early on in the game is a bit slow, and coupled with the game's high encounter rate on the overworld map, you'll spend a little bit more time traversing the world map than you'd like. And once you find your destination, you'll be disappointed that there's only 2 towns and about 3 or 4 dungeons. Each town does look drastically different, but each one has only one shopkeeper, and the armor and weapons they sell don't really make you feel like you've improved your stats or armor. While the game's controls are easily laid out, using either the WASD or arrow keys to move and the spacebar or E key to interact, there's no way to remap the controls to a gamepad, so those of you hoping to get the fully nostalgic experience of using a controller are out of luck. There isn't much strategy outside of boss battles, and even then, you won't be left wondering for too long before the boss shows you his glaring weak spot. And the turn-based portions of the game are a great nod to the classics, but get pretty stagnant after a while. Karis' spells cost no mana, and she only acquires a heal and an attack spell, and Clink only acquires a special ability at the tail end of the game, so there's not really any space for MP rationing or any of the really in-depth gameplay Evoland is trying to pay homage to. Evoland is a very short and sweet game, which some people may see as a pro or a con. I only took about 3 hours to beat it, but if you're really trying to find all the collectibles, then you can probably get about 5 or 6 hours out of the game. Even with these flaws, though, Evoland is a great game for anyone who played through and enjoyed the Zelda and Final Fantasy series while the genre of action-adventure games was still forming. It takes you down a street you've traveled before, but in a fun, satirical way that will force any long-time gamer to reminisce. Evoland is like a trip to a museum, chronicling the triumphs and improvements of action-adventure games, and with a ticket price of $10, that's a museum well worth visiting.